a lot of, I almost said mofos.
A lot of mofos out there.
A lot of mofos. A lot of MoveFun members and ufologists. This is just garbage when I'm speaking.
Oh yeah, we're back. And there's the hat.
I don't know if anybody can hear this. I'll get kind of close to the mic so you can hear it. Do you hear that? It's tinfoil. That was some ASMR.
My ears are gonna bleed when I record this.
No kidding. I think my voice
or edit this.
I think my voice is too grating for ASMR. And that's okay.
So if anyone was wondering what our theme this week is...
And why I just touched tinfoil and made crinkle noise.
That was annoying.
Where in the world did you get that?
UFO encounters.
We do.
Oh, God. That's less harsh.
You're gonna kill everybody.
There was a really good one. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Isn't that awesome?
I dig it. Is this royalty free?
What?
Don't let it play too long if it's not royalty free. Oh, here it is.
Here's action.
Where are the aliens? Are they behind me? Am I encountering them? Whoa!
Okay, I'm done.
I hope those were licensed.
I don't know. It was a free app.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're probably okay, maybe.
I'm going to take this hat off, though, because this is going to be horrible to edit.
Me too.
Goodbye, hat. But I will leave it next to me. Yeah, so that was kind of a long-winded intro, but welcome everybody to Tales of Plenty.
Hi, I'm Logan Runquist.
I'm Kendall Runquist, and this is our podcast where we tell each other stories from all over the world, and they usually have
Sometimes outer space.
Yep. That's actually a fair point. I guess we're taking it up a notch. We're moving on from this world. We're going
to another world.
To outer space.
Worlds.
To tell some otherworldly stories.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
It's been a long time since I've seen you since, the couch where we were watching TV.
5 minutes ago?
5 minutes ago. And then we're like, we should probably record our podcast because we have to deliver this in like 2 days.
Yes. Yep. We're hoping it sounds better again. We probably promise that every episode. So hopefully there's an improvement each time.
Yeah, we're playing around with setups every time just to try to kind of figure out how it works because we're both very amateurs at this.
And I have grading S's, apparently.
And currently I'm surrounded by 3 blankets this time because our apartment is has a lot of hard surfaces, not a lot of soft surfaces. So if this doesn't work, let's try the closet next time.
Yeah, I'm really hoping this works because our closet is really tight and I really don't want to record in the
I've heard lots of
closet.
podcasters do it. I feel like it's a rite of passage.
I love you and we've been married for
3 months?
3 months.
Close to 4.
Almost 4, but I don't know if I want to sit in a really tight closet with you for like 2 hours.
It's usually like an hour and a half or so, or 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, do you just want to jump into it?
Sure.
Okay.
Who went first last time?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Do you want to continue going first?
I can if you want me to.
Up to you.
I can tell you a tale
Please.
of a very interesting alien encounter.
I'm ready.
So hopefully, I didn't talk to you about which ones I'm doing. but I'm going to tell you about Betty and Barney Hill.
Okay.
Okay, you don't know who that is. Good.
No.
So I got this article off of history.com, not Wikipedia. And it was an article by Linda Lucina.
Linda.
And she had a lot of really good information on there. So I pretty much just used her as my source for this whole story, actually. It was very useful. So Betty and Barney Hill were driving down an empty country road in New Hampshire's White Mountains in September of 1961.
Fun.
We're going back.
Take me back
to 1961.
The 60s.
Yep.
Good times.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but it was a long time ago.
It's an era of lots of change. There was a lot going on. The clothing was mwah.
The trip was actually kind of a spontaneous trip. It was their delayed honeymoon.
Oh.
So they decided to just kind of, out of nowhere, pack up the car and drive.
Hi, we know about delayed honeymoons.
That's true.
We've pushed ours 3 times. So, we know.
Mm-hmm.
What are their names? Betty and
Bill? Barney Hill.
Betty and Barney Hill. Okay.
We feel your pain.
We do.
So it was a 3-day trip. At the last night, they stopped at a diner for coffee to recharge before the drive home to try to beat an approaching hurricane. So they wanted to get out of the wind and rain, obviously. So they ended up leaving at 10 p.m. to try to make it back home by 2 or 3 a.m. So they were going to be out there pretty late.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to hit that last ride home before they got back.
Right. I wonder if New Hampshire gets a lot of hurricanes.
I don't know.
I don't either.
If you live in New Hampshire, let us know.
New Hampshire?
New Hampshire. If you live in New Hampshire, let us know. My coffee hasn't kicked in yet. And I kind of skipped over this a second ago, but this is like, it was a delayed honeymoon, and Barney finally decided enough was enough. They need to go on a trip, so they're going. So they just packed up everything. I think they had like $70 in their wallets. They didn't even go to the bank to get anything else out. Back in the day when you actually went to the bank to get money. We just talked about this like 2 hours ago. How it's not a thing anymore. How
nobody can use cash right now because we don't want to touch it.
And they both worked pretty grueling jobs, which is kind of why Barney was like, let's just go on a trip like right now. Barney worked at the post office, and Betty handled a lot of state child welfare cases. And they were actually also a biracial couple.
Oh.
Betty was white and Barney was black.
Wow, how modern.
Yeah, and that was back in the 1960s.
I bet that was very difficult.
It was probably, very difficult.
I mean, that was the height of so much, well, the height of like a lot of things, but racial tensions were high.
Yeah.
Then, as is now,
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, so it was actually, they didn't really get into that at all in the article, but I thought that was a just interesting note, back then in 1961. So in their free time, they actually spent a lot of that when they weren't working tough hours in their jobs. They were either doing things involved with their church or a lot of involvement in the civil rights movement as well.
That's awesome.
So they were busy like all the time. So that's kind of plays into why Barney's like, we got to go on a trip. Like, we got to take a break. We're busy all the time.
Well, yeah.
Like, let's go somewhere for a couple days, get out, just kind of enjoy each other as, married couple.
When you're fighting the good fight for so long, you need a break.
Yeah. Just like everybody. Everyone needs a break at some point. They were coming home on that late night, and there was no cars for miles. It was just a kind of a windy road through the mountains. But then they saw this strange light in the sky that seemed to start following them.
Oh, no.
At first, they thought it was a shooting star, but it started to get larger and brighter.
Go, Barney. Drive faster, honey.
Barney, I guess, being interested in planes or just kind of aerospace stuff in general,
oh no,
thought that it might be a satellite that was off course and was just kind of reflecting the light or the lights off the satellite. So he believed it was that. So he just kind of, told Betty not to worry, and they just kept driving on. Wow. However, through the winding paths, they would go up and down and left and right a lot. But as they did, the light seemed to follow and zig and zag and match where they were going.
It's not good when it zigs and zags.
And sometimes it would fall, into the trees, come back up, and continue to follow them.
Oh no.
So at some point, they finally decided to stop the car, pull out their binoculars that they had in the car from the trip, and Betty took a look through her binoculars. Oh, no. And when she did,
Betty,
she saw
no.
that there was an object spinning in the air.
Oh no.
So that concerned them, but they decided to continue to travel on and hoping that, maybe it would go away.
Looks at each other. This is concerning. Gets back in the car.
I don't know why they, I guess that's anybody's reaction. Like, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
What is that? And let's keep going.
Yeah.
So they did. They continued to travel. And eventually, it was still there. So they stopped again.
Stop stopping, Barney.
Well, this time Barney took his handgun out of the car.
Okay.
And went into the field that was out by the road. And he ran toward it to try to, see what it was and maybe shoot it, I guess. When he approached it, he saw that it was as big as a jet, but as flat as a pancake and, in the air, hovering and spinning.
Oh, no.
What he saw was gray beings in uniforms staring out at him through windows in the object. So freaked out by this, I'm just going to keep going.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Freaked out by this and the gray beings that were inside of this object, he freaked out, obviously, as one does, and ran back toward the car. And loud rhythmic beeps started sounding from the car's trunk.
Oh, can I do it?
Okay.
Beep beep boop bop boop boop.
That might have been it.
That was from SpongeBob, but
Oh, okay.
that's all right.
And this caused them to eventually pass out.
Oh no. The music is too strong.
They came to about 2 hours later and 35 miles away from where they were. And at first they didn't realize anything had happened. They didn't remember any of this. They were just driving on the road.
Oh no.
And they eventually got home.
They woke up in their cars? Like operating the motor vehicle?
That's what it sounds like.
Oh no.
They were still driving home. But at this point, 2 hours had passed and 35 miles had gone by. And they eventually made it home. But they were dirty. Their watches had stopped working. Barney's shoes were scuffed and Betty's dress ripped. And they couldn't account for those 2 hours of the drive home.
That is horrifying.
Neither of them knew what happened in those 2 hours between when they first encountered the aliens, or whatever they were, and the moment when they started remembering things. Nor could they actually account for the encounter of the aliens. They didn't remember that.
No.
But they wanted to know what happened or what was going on because they came home dirty, but they were in the car the whole time, as far as they knew. So they ended up seeking help from a psychiatrist named Benjamin Simon to remember what happened. And he was...
Benjamin Simon.
Yeah. 2 first names.
Joe Bill.
Yes. Who was apparently an expert in hypnosis. So under hypnosis, he helped them, try to understand what happened, try to remember things, what went on in those 2 hours.
Sure. I'm just thinking, like, memory loss, like missing time, has to be the most absolutely horrifying thing.
I guess this is entirely the same thing, but I mean, I have family members who have suffered from Alzheimer's who don't remember things. And that's always one of the scariest things, for sure.
Yeah.
Is not remembering who you are or not remembering certain events or thinking you're in a certain event that has happened like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
That is very scary.
Definitely very scary.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to keep going on.
Okay. Sorry.
So they try to get help because that is a scary thing, So you're right. So that's why they reached out to the psychiatrist, and under hypnosis, he helped them remember those moments of that light in the sky, and Barney remembering the aliens or the gray beings in the ship. But he helped them remember even more than that.
Oh.
He also helped them remember that what happened after they had passed out. And the gray beings had brought them into their ship. And decided to start examining the couple.
Okay.
And they had asked them to like lay down on these tables, these metal tables.
Okay.
And they removed their clothes. They plucked strands of hair, took nail clippings and skin samples, and, also put several needles to collect other samples into their body.
Other sample.
Like blood samples.
Sure.
Apparently they did some sort of pregnancy test on Betty as well. They were also fascinated because Betty had dentures, and they thought that she had the ability to remove her teeth at will. So
dope.
she said that she remembers laughing and explaining to them that they were fake teeth and that she had dentures, basically, and explained what dentures were to them.
She couldn't have been that old. I wonder why she had dentures.
I think this was a very long time coming honeymoon. I think they were older.
Oh, okay.
They were older.
Oh, I suppose
this
you never
happened.
gave ages. In the
They never gave ages in the article, so I'm actually not sure how old they were when this happened.
Okay. Well, I suppose young people could have dentures too, from an accident or something.
It's possible. So he helped them remember all these things of them examining them as well. And so much so that eventually this story got publicized and got out, and the Air Force actually investigated their claims.
Uh-oh.
As part of what they called back then Project Blue Book.
Ooh, I love a good project something.
Which was an initiative to investigate UFO sightings. So it was something that the Air Force started taking very seriously, actually. They checked a lot of claims for UFO sightings and have recorded a lot of them under Project Blue Book.
Blue Book.
And this encounter and their description of it has become it was the first widely publicized alien abduction account. There was accounts before that, but this was the first one that really became hugely known. It became a best-selling book called The Interrupted Journey. It also was a movie titled The UFO Incident.
Ooh.
And it became the classic sci-fi staple for alien encounters.
Hell.
So the classic gray aliens and metal ship abducting people and collecting samples and letting them go, and memory loss and all of that.
Yeah.
All that started with this encounter.
That's so interesting.
And ever since this one, it's kind of become your standard sci-fi encounter.
I was about to say, that's so typical, alien abduction. You get examined, you get your samples taken of stuff.
And this was the first one of that. Yeah, it was the OG classic example.
Nice. So were they okay?
They were okay.
Went on to live their lives after their account got Hollywood big.
Yeah, they helped write the book, The Interrupted Journey.
Nice.
And continue to tell their story.
Nice.
If people believe them or not, or if you believe them or not, I'll leave that up to you.
Yes.
I'm just telling the encounter.
Thank you.
But I didn't want to dig into the, was it real, was it not real? I just want to tell the encounter.
Thank you.
And leave all that up to you and whoever decided to listen to this episode.
The aliens that we're broadcasting to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi.
So that was the encounter. The Betty and Barney Hill encounter.
Betty and Barney.
Yep.
They're awesome.
So that is my first tale.
Thank you.
So what's your tale?
So my tale is... It's just funny. I didn't think I was going to do this one just because we live in Texas. I thought it was a little on the nose. But my parents mentioned it. Hi, Mom and Dad. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at it just real quick and see if I want to do it because I actually don't know a ton about it. So I'm going to tell you about the Marfa Lights.
Oh, okay.
In Marfa, Texas.
Yeah. I don't actually know anything about it, but I've heard of it.
Cool. So my sources are libscience.com and oddly enough, the BBC travel website, which made me laugh so hard. But I tell you what, that is a beautifully done website. It had content, it had videos, it had firsthand recordings. Their account of the Marfa Lights was fantastic. So, BBC, doing it right. So Marfa, little backstory, is in West Texas. Little geographical lesson. Pretty far west. It's past Odessa, past Midland, keep going. You're nearing El Paso, not quite there, but you're so west that under an hour drive can get you to the Mexico border. So far.
Yeah.
Today,
That is really far down there, isn't it?
it's far. Yeah. It would take a long while for us to get there, and we are in Texas. Today, it's known as a tourist destination and a major center of minimalist art.
Okay.
I'm not joking. I thought this was really interesting. Since the 70s, a wave of hipsters, artists, and urban transplants have blown in with the winds, thank you BBC for that quote, and turned this unassuming ranch town into just a place of artists, quirky stuff. There's saloons, there's espresso bars, there's 10-gallon hats, feed stores, vegan restaurants, and of course, alien phenomena. Thank you, Marfa Lights.
Marfa's doing it up right.
They're doing it
So
up.
it's like probably a big city now, right?
I mean, your classification of big wouldn't necessarily compare directly to it would. It's
Not like Austin big?
It's not quite that big. However, there's art museums, there's installation, there's galleries, there's restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
not like a small podunk Texas
No,
town.
I mean they're really doing their tourism right. Like the Marfa Lights, I'll talk about how it kind of affected the city later, but it's really helped grow their tourism. And as I'm sure you've probably seen this, but they have the Prada store.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's over there.
That's a very famous art installation. I don't want to give you an art history lesson. That's for another time. But it's a fake Prada storefront out in the middle of literal nowhere. That's Marfa.
Yeah.
So that is something they're super known for. And by the way, I want to go see. Yeah. So cool place, happening place. So they're also known for the so-called Marfa Lights. And people descend from all over the world to go to this viewing area to stare out across the desert in hopes of catching a glimpse of this phenomenon. And fun fact, the actor James Dean was rumored to be so obsessed with the lights that he kept a telescope in his Marfa hotel room during the filming of the movie Giant in 1956. So
cool.
he would like come back, close all the doors and the blinds,
And just
look at his
look at the
telescope.
telescope.
Which I kind of love that. Like,
That's
I'm
pretty
James
cool.
Dean, and I'm I'm walking off the set, signing off for the day.
Gotta get back to my hotel and look at the telescope.
I gotta go look for those lights. Are they out tonight? I gotta look and see. Like maybe he was a little bit of a nerd, and that's kind of cool. So, according to eyewitnesses, the lights appear to be roughly the size of basketballs and are varyingly described as white, blue, yellow, red, or other colors.
Okay.
Which is every color.
Yeah. It's yellow, white, blue, and everything.
And
all the colors.
The entire Roy G. Biv color spectrum, visible to the human eye. These orbs appear in the desert outside the town and have been mystifying people for generations. They call this area the Mitchell Flat. Reportedly, they hover, twinkle, split in two, flicker, float up into the air, or dart around, sort of zigging and zagging, as you mentioned earlier. There's apparently no way to predict them, so you can't say every third Tuesday. They're also seen in various weather conditions, only a dozen or so nights a year, and no one knows what they are or if they're even real.
Okay.
The Native American tribes in the area seem to think they are fallen stars, which is lovely. Isn't that lovely? So the first mention, let's go back to when it was first reported, 1883.
Wow.
Hi, we're going way back. When the cowhand Robert Reed Ellison claimed to have seen flickering lights one evening while driving a herd of cattle near the Mitchell Flat. He assumed the lights were Native American tribe Comanche fires.
Oh,
because we
okay.
are before, I believe, the invention of the incandescent light bulb.
Right.
And obviously cars. So he thought they were fires. Other settlers saw the lights too, but when they investigated, they all went out there. They were looking around for these fires, but no one saw piles of burnt embers or signs that campfires have been lit, which was very strange because back then they then had no other description for what that was.
Right.
So they just...
What could it have been besides fire?
Exactly. So they really don't know. So that was documented in history, and that's kind of just been the starting point, and everybody's confused. What is it? Lovers of the supernatural, paranormal, or the weird have attributed the lights to everything from space aliens to the wandering ghosts of Spanish conquistadors.
Okay. I know we're doing UFO, so I'm sure that's where you're going with it. But I'm very curious about that thread with the conquistadors.
I know. I mean, they're probably going to say something about the Spanish ships docking in like the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
and
that
then
makes sense.
kind of pillaging their way through Texas. And if I were going to guess, I did not Google that theory. We're going straight aliens here. So academics too have tried to offer a scientific explanation. A group of physics students from UTD, University of Texas at Dallas, concluded that the headlights from vehicles on the nearby Highway 67 could explain at least some of the reported sightings. Everybody's like, boo, you suck, no. Lights speeding down the highway,
Explain that
maybe.
in 1888.
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever it was.
Right, but they're like, oh, it's the lights going around the curves. Like, that would look like it's undulating to and fro, like you're coming from behind and appearing and reappearing, like they're coming down and coming around curves. And so a lot of people poo-poo that one away. Sorry, UTD, but no. Another possible explanation is the refraction of light caused by layers of air at different temperatures. This optical illusion, sometimes called a superior mirage or a fata morgana, occurs when a layer of calm, cool air rests above a layer of cooler air. Others speculate the Marfa Lights may be caused by the same gases that create glowing lights associated with swamp gas, which is phosphine and methane, pH3 and CH4. I know where you're going with this. Under certain conditions, these gases can light when they come in contact with oxygen. So I wanted to tell you that this is very similar to what we saw. We just saw Lord of the Rings 2 in theaters.
Yeah.
It's not 2007 anymore, but they were re-showing it, and we saw the dead marshes, and it was great. So, is that where you were going with that? I feel like we were on the same...
No.
You're not thinking Lord of the Rings?
No. I was thinking people were out there farting in the desert.
Methane is cow farts. Sorry to say, human farts don't often contain methane.
Oh.
Cow farts do.
Well, cows are out there farting then.
Most likely.
You just said he was carrying a herd back in 1880 whatever.
And they had so many farts that their farts are still there today.
Yes. They're
Okay.
It's ghost cow farts.
Ghost cow farts.
I just solved it. Moving on. Next story.
Ghost cow farts.
Ghost cow farts.
Next. Stamp that as done. Debunked. Marfa Lights.
And that is the title of our episode, Ghost Cow Farts. I'm just kidding.
Maybe.
I hope not.
We'll see. So I wanted to explain a little bit of like that dead marsh effect or the swamp gas. So those are sometimes called will-o'-the-wisp or fool's fire. And those happen in marshy areas where the decay of organic matter create pockets of phosphine and methane, which is kind of gross, but also kind of cool. Just like a ball of gas is just chilling, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it lights on fire. It's kind of really weird. Though the Marfa Lights are nowhere near a marsh, it is important to note that there are significant reserves of oil, natural gas, and other petroleum hydrocarbon in the area, which include methane and quantities capable of producing a similar effect to swamp gas. So that one's actually like maybe kind of credible.
Right.
Potentially. I just wonder
There's
if...
some science to back it up.
Yeah. As with all the sciencey words that I just said, that I kind of don't really know what they are, but that's all right. Retired aerospace engineer James Bennell saw upon the Marfa Lights while visiting the viewing platform constructed east of Marfa by the Texas State Highway Department, which I thought was interesting. They called the state and they were like, can you build this viewing platform for us? So many people were like getting interested in it,
Right.
that they
They're
decided
like, all
to
right,
build a
might as well.
platform. So this guy believes that the Marfa Lights are a result of the igneous rock underneath the Mitchell Flat that creates a piezoelectric charge. But Carl Steffen, an engineering professor at Texas State, he said there's no way to endorse this. There's no facts. But so the BBC interviewed this guy, I believe, and it was really interesting. This guy, he has witnessed a shocking light display for which I could find no reasonable explanation. This is an aerospace engineer, so this guy, science,
Right.
down to the bone. And he's like, I saw something and I don't have an explanation for it. So for the next 12 years, he set out on a scientific mission to investigate and solve the mystery of the lights. He installed 10 wide spectrum and infrared cameras on neighboring ranches, poured through footage of the lights' movements people have captured over the years, and hoped to understand their patterns. Unfortunately, no pattern emerged, he said. 4 books later, he has written 4 books. He has a few theories involving how the Earth's underground friction produces an electromagnetic light show above the Marfa Plains. I suppose it would kind of be like the Aurora Borealis, but much closer to Earth, which I'm not entirely sure checks out because the Aurora Borealis has to be up kind of high. So that's just kind of a theory he's got working right now, but no definitive evidence or proof that answers his original question. And I quote, "What the heck are these things?" End quote.
That's like the best scientific hypothesis ever. What the heck are these lights?
WTF, brah. I know. This guy, he was so sweet and it just made me laugh. What the heck are these things? End quote. It was amazing. So to this day, nobody really knows, but like I said, it drew so many crowds. I can't remember when, I'm just going off of memory now, but the video talked about some of the teachers who were helping campaign to the city to help build a tourism infrastructure around the Marfa Light phenomenon. And teachers and students were campaigning. It was so cute. They had their students like draw posters and they were like, the M in Marfa stands for mystery. And that was their campaign. They toured it to all the districts in the state of Texas trying to get funding. And they were successful because the highway division did build that. So after all of that gain of tourism, there is now a festival.
Of course.
We're here for it. It began in '86. The city of Marfa continues to this day their Mystery Lights Festival every Labor Day weekend with live music, crafts, art, food, and a parade. Heck yeah. Sorry to say it was canceled for this year, of course.
Yeah.
COVID. Leave us, please. But they look forward to bringing it back next year. Yes, it was very cute. The city of Marfa. Their website is nicely organized, actually, and tons of information about the festival.
Nice.
Artists, booths,
Yeah,
crafts
that's
galore.
interesting that a whole culture has evolved around the lights
Yes.
and built up the city
Yes.
around it.
Yeah. So I guess some people say it's just a tourist trap, just to get people there. I guess you could say they're kind of laughing all the way to the bank. So, are they real? I don't know. We'll have to go to Marfa and find out.
Can I tell you about my next alien encounter?
Yes.
It's one I had. No.
What?
No, not really.
I was about to freak out.
I never told you this, but yeah. I'm just kidding. No.
Oh, no.
This one's titled The Incident at Exeter. I think that's how you say it. Exeter.
I'd buy that.
Exeter. I'm going to go with Exeter.
Okay.
I should really look up how to say these words.
It's all right.
This one I did get from Wikipedia because I'm lazy. No.
No. It's
'Cause-
a fine resource.
It's turned into a good resource. It was also the only one that I could find that compiled information This one occurred also in September, but in 1965.
Ooh.
So 4 years later.
4 years
Since
later.
Betty and Barney Hill. This took place in New Hampshire as well.
Nice.
Which is a little freaky. And it was 5 miles south of Exeter, New Hampshire, in a place called Kensington.
Cute.
At about 2 a.m., 18-year-old Norman Muscarello was hitchhiking home to Exeter. He had recently graduated from high school and was a few weeks from leaving to serve in the U.S. Army. He was out visiting his girlfriend, who lived 10 miles away in a neighboring city.
Cute.
But he didn't have a car, so he would hitchhike the 10 miles there and hitchhike the 10 miles back, usually.
As you do.
And on this night, he wasn't getting much luck getting a ride, so he ended up walking most of the way back. And he had made it to Kensington, where he noticed flashing red lights in a field, which at first he thought was a police car or a fire engine or something like that, flashing its lights.
Sure.
And it lit up the place. It was, a very dark night. It's 2 a.m., a small, farm area, so it's usually very dark. There was this, giant red flashing light that was lighting up everything, but making no sound. It was just the light.
Oh, okay.
And whatever the object was that the light was attached to looked to be about 80 to 90 feet in diameter and started to move toward him. The light started to change direction and moved over a farmhouse in that area. So Norman ran to the house and started banging on the door for help, but no one came.
Oh, no.
Which later found out that they were not there at the time.
Were they dead?
They were just not there.
Oh.
And the light hovered over there and then flew back into the nearby woods and vanished.
Oh. And he was like, what did I drink tonight? Somebody spiked my drink.
Yeah, I mean, he was terrified by this, not knowing what it was, not knowing what he had seen. So after it flew out back into the woods and vanished, he turned and saw that there was a car coming. So he jumped out in front of the car
Oh my God.
to try to stop it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Disclaimer.
But it's something that Norman did.
Norman.
So they stopped. They didn't hit him.
Oh, thank goodness.
And they got out of the car to try to figure out what the heck was going on. And he was completely frightened. So they decided to take him back to Exeter to the police station. At the station, an officer by the name of Officer Tolan radioed Officer Bertrand because earlier that night, Bertrand had passed a distressed woman on the road that told him a huge object with flashing red lights had followed her car, hovered over it, and eventually flew off.
Oh my gosh.
Bertrand didn't believe her at the time, but after hearing Norman's account of the same object, he decided to drive back with Norman to the farm where he saw the object to go investigate.
Feminist rant. Was it because it was a man telling him this, or because it was the second account?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was 1965.
I think it's the former.
So maybe.
Okay. Officer Butthead, what's his name? Bertrand?
Bertrand.
Well, Butthead it is.
So first, Officer Butthead didn't see anything. And eventually the animals in the area started to go kind of wild. The horses were kicking the fence posts, trying to get out. Dogs were barking and howling. And from the trees, a huge dark object as big as a barn with flashing lights started to rise once again. And they saw that red light flashing.
Wow.
The object started to slowly move toward them, swaying back and forth. So Bertrand initially took out his gun.
Why is this
Being a
seemingly
police
the reaction? Let me pull out my gun.
He's a police officer. I guess his training, his first thought was protection, pull out his gun. But then he thought twice, holstered his gun again, took Norman and ran back to the car. Bertrand then radioed another officer by the name of David Hunt for assistance. And while they were waiting for David Hunt to arrive, they continued to observe the object as it floated 100 feet away and 100 feet above the ground and just kind of stayed there.
Just chilling.
Yeah. The red
They
light.
put it in park.
What?
They put it in park.
I guess so. The red light flashed in rapid sequence, first from right to left, then left to right, each cycle consuming no more than 2 seconds.
So it's going like this. I know you can't, the listeners can't see my head, but I'm moving my head back and forth in a very strange manner.
Yes, it was basically like that,
I'm getting dizzy.
from right to left. And now my wife is passed out.
And now I have a crick in my neck.
Eventually, Hunt made it, and he also saw the object. There as well. So eventually, it finally rose over the trees and disappeared once again. They went back to the station, to the police station, filed reports, and then Bertrand took Norman home to his mother. And this remains one of the best documented and publicized sightings. I didn't end up taking notes on this, but some of the things I do remember from the Wikipedia was this was also something that was investigated in that Project Blue Book.
Nice.
And there was some stuff I didn't really want to get into the whole. I just wanted to like talk about the encounter itself. So I didn't really get into the whole like, is it real, is it not real thing.
Right.
So,
you know, the age-old question.
So in 2010, the Exeter Kiwanis Club started the Exeter UFO Festival as a fundraiser to benefit children's charities. So they have a festival for now the past 10 years about that encounter. But again, it's not happening this year because of COVID.
Yeah.
So there's another canceled alien festival.
COVID, you're canceling all of our alien and Yeti festivals.
They're killing us, man. So anyway, yeah, that was it. It was just kind of a short one. I just mostly wanted to focus on the encounters.
That was good.
When we took this prompt.
That was good.
All right, what is your second one?
Okay. I wanted to really get into the mindset of this episode. I wanted to make you a tinfoil hat. Check mark. We did that.
Done.
So the way I did my research was not only via the internet, but also with my eyeballs watching of alien stuff. So this TV show, a lot of them are kind of hokey because we had talked about like, should we watch Ancient Aliens and like recount one? Giorgio Tsoukalos, love you, aliens. He's amazing. The hair is
His hair is amazing. Yeah.
So yes. So I decided not to recount that because they're hokey. Like, come on, give me something. There are really good alien movies. Let's get into it. What'd you tell me earlier? Favorite alien movie?
Oh, it's a really stupid one, but Mars Attacks is hilarious.
Mars Attacks. I've never seen
so
it.
bad.
He showed me
But
the
so
preview.
good, too.
There was surprisingly a lot of famous people in that.
It's something. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's a good one.
What was the second one you named me?
Independence Day. That's a classic.
Classic. A great one. Bill Pullman. President every time. So good. The one with Tom Cruise. War of the Worlds, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I
That
actually
was
have not
good.
seen that.
That was good. Signs was good.
Oh, what's that one with it's a newer one. It was really good.
Amy Adams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really good movie.
That was good. Yeah.
That was true. I want to see that one again.
My girl. Oh, she is such a good actress.
Yeah.
Anyway. These are all great Hollywood adaptations. So I'm like, there's got to be something on Netflix that's like pretty good. So I found something called a TV show called Hangar One. And so basically there's this secret society that does like their business in this hangar. And they call themselves MUFON, which was... I'm going to have to Google
Does that
it.
stand for something?
It does. Okay. It stands for Mutual UFO Network. Okay. And it's a U.S.-based nonprofit organization comprised of volunteers who study reported UFO sightings. One of the oldest and largest organizations of its kind, claiming more than 4,000 members worldwide, with chapter representatives in more than 43 countries and in all 50 states. So that's important to know because all of these cases it's kind of like a side thing in like the FBI. Like in the FBI, you have the BAU, the Behavioral Analysis Unit. I just slapped my face for no reason. In the FBI, you have the...
Gotta get your mind working.
I'm sorry. Criminal minds. Come back. Okay. The BAU inside the FBI. Okay. So this is like just like a side branch that specifically dedicates themselves to UFOs. So episode 1, I did a deep dive. We're going presidential conspiracies of alien cover-ups.
Oh, okay.
Just something real light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to get into right before bed.
You know, I'm going to give you nightmares. No, I'm just kidding. I just found this fascinating because I love nothing more than a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Yes, it still is UFO-y, but I also enjoyed the conspiracy theory aspect.
Of course.
So let's get into it.
As you do.
As I do, yes. So, in episode 1, the thing that really started it all was in Roswell, New Mexico, which I almost did. There was a crash in 1947. There are people called ufologists.
Yeah, okay.
They study UFOs.
Right. I picked that up from the name.
That was kind of the beginning of their conspiracies. They thought that Truman really knew about the Roswell crash. He was one of the ones who was like, it was a weather balloon, it was a satellite. He really put the kibosh on it. And ufologists were like, no,
Nope.
we know Roswell really happened. There was something called the Robertson Panel, which were really people getting together and were trying to refute the president's claims. Like, it was just a weather balloon, all the, military jargon that they just like to throw at you to throw you off the scent. So this whole episode was all about if word of aliens got out, what the president would have mass chaos on their hands. So basically, do the presidents know about it and can't say, or is our government keeping the UFOs a secret even from the president so they have plausible deniability? So you have like two factions here. Again, according to this TV show. So now we're getting into Nixon.
Okay.
You did a wonderful impression of him earlier. I think you should do it again while we're recording.
I forgot where this is from, but they go, I'm Richard Nixon. That hurts my head to do that.
You should have seen how vigorously he was shaking his face. So this is a real thing. Nixon had an agreement with Brezhnev, and that was an anti-ballistic agreement, basically that we couldn't fire missiles at each other. But MUFON suggested that Nixon also said, we have an agreement, so we're not gonna pretend to shake my hand. We're not gonna fire missiles at you. Okay, we're not either.
Winky, winky.
Wink, wink. But we're also gonna tell each other if we see something on our radar that's not one of our ships, we're gonna pick up the phone and call you, so we don't accidentally start. Because this is right in the middle of the Cold War. We don't want to actually accidentally start the warm war with the warm bombs happening by you thinking that's one of our missiles. We're gonna call you and be like, yo, we see something, it's not one of ours, that's an alien. So that was part of this Brezhnev agreement.
Okay.
Another interesting account was Nixon was really good friends with Jackie Gleason. So they're apparently good buds. They're out golfing, and Nixon is like, Jackie, yo, I got something to show you. He takes him on this road trip. And
As you do as the president.
so here was the thing. They recounted this. Nixon, as your president, you typically have a lot of Secret Service, a lot of just people around. He drops all of his agents. President Nixon himself is behind the wheel, drives to Jackie Gleason's house and is like, Jackie, get in. And he's like, what is going on? So no Secret Service agents, right?
Right.
President Nixon is just driving down the road, and he takes him, I believe, it was either Area 51 or a very nearby base to that. But anyway, so secret military base, we're underground, no Secret Service, and he's like, Jackie, come in here. And what Jackie Gleason sees is apparently this room just full of alien bodies, just chilling in this underground research lab. And yeah, in the TV show, he's freaked out, of course. You just seen all this weird stuff. What's going on? Nixon, Bud, how do you know about this? And first of all, why am I the only normal person here? Yeah, why me? And I guess just because they were good buds, and he was like, hey, I'm bored. I want to show you something. And this wasn't a quick car ride. This was a multiple hour car ride. And Jackie Gleason's like, what is going on? So I thought that to be really funny. So everyone is like, did Nixon take Jackie to a secret base and show him aliens? We're not entirely sure. So when Clinton gets elected, he investigates the Roswell crash, and this is in 93. All of his attempts to unseal these records, he's just getting red tape. So that investigation failed. And ultimately he was like, I'm sorry, American public, but I can't get any more information. So that begged the question in this episode, are there questions that even the president doesn't know the answer to? Like, it goes above him.
Right.
It goes all the way to the top. Okay. So,
because I mean, even though you are the president, like your power, at least in the U.S., your power is checked,
right,
and checks and balances. So there's things that the president can't do still,
right, and you're there for a limited term,
right?
So you don't need to know everything,
right.
And that was a lot of like the other side of this argument. Like, okay, let's theorize. UFOs are real, right? Mm-hmm. Our government's hiding them from us because if we knew that there were aliens in Area 51, all hell would absolutely break loose.
It would, yeah.
Definitely. It would. And so, but unless it's need to know, AKA an Independence Day when Bill Pullman is like, I'm the president and now I need to know everything about aliens, unless that happens,
right? Like
they can't disclose it. The president doesn't need to know. So Jimmy Carter, in 1969, this is a little bit before his presidency, he's out campaigning. I believe he's a governor at this point, but he's out campaigning to become president. He actually has a sighting of a UFO. Carter was giving a speech at a Lions Club meeting in Georgia, I believe. About 7:15 p.m., one of the guests called his attention to a strange object that was visible about 30 degrees above the horizon to the west of where he was standing. Carter described the object as being bright white and as about as bright as the moon. It was said to have appeared to have closed in on where he was standing, but to have stopped beyond a stand of pine trees some distance from him. This is from the report summarized on Wikipedia. The object then was said to have changed color, first to blue, then to red, then back to white, and then receded back into the distance. So he's like, hi, everybody, vote for me. And then he's like, what is this thing? And it's like, wow, 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 wow. And then it like flies away. He also said that the object was self-illuminated, not solid in nature. His report indicates that it was witnessed by about 10 or 12 other people. And it was in view for 10 to 12 minutes before it passed out of sight, which is kind of a long time.
That's a long time.
It's not just like a second, like beep, boop, gone. 10 to 12 minutes. That's a long time. So he actually documented that sighting. He documented it in 1973 in an official UFO report. The only president to have ever recorded a sighting, like with his own hand.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm sure I knew this in the back of my head, but I didn't know that former President George H.W. Bush was the former director of the CIA. George H.W. Bush briefed Jimmy Carter when he was elected in 1976, saying, I can't release any of the information about aliens to you because it's need to know, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Carter was one of those where part of his campaign was, I saw it, I know it's real, I'm gonna get all the information I can about UFOs and aliens to the American public.
And he got red taped also.
Pretty much, but he did pretty good. He contacted the CIA, the FBI, and NASA. I mean, those are the big dogs. If you're going to call anyone when you're the president, those are the big three. So none of them really cooperated. However, his presidency is considered the golden age of UFO research. So in 1974, before his presidency, Ronald Reagan also had his own encounter. While flying on a small airplane, he looked out the window, and this was also corroborated by the pilot, that they saw a white object zigging and zagging outside the airplane. They were calling on comms like, control tower, is this another ship? Is this like, they were worried that it was another military trying to shoot them down because, a high political official, a governor is on an airplane. Are they trying to shoot us down? And like, there was no report of anything else being in that airspace at that time. But here is what was interesting. George H.W. Bush was his vice president. So some people say, did he choose George H.W. Bush as VP because of his CIA connections, being the former director, and his intel on UFOs? So that's a big, like, why did he choose him? Well, I mean, yeah, aliens, bro. And then George H.W. Bush becomes president himself. A lot of, I almost said mofos.
A lot of mofos out there.
A lot of MUFON members and ufologists. This is just garbage, what I'm speaking. It's nonsense. They consider him the gatekeeper of UFO information. Whether it be true or not, he was just the director of the CIA. However, who knows what that means?
And we'll never know, because he has since passed away.
That is correct and very sad. He was trusted by a lot of groups, very politically connected. There was a group running around at that time called MJ-12, which was a control group for UFO information. But while he was in Arkansas in 1988, while he was running for president, a reporter asked him, like, are you going to tell us about the aliens? Like, we know you know stuff. And he was dancing around the idea of, I actually know something. I don't have the exact quote, but he admitted that he knew things about UFOs. So you have some presidents that are really gung-ho about it, and they want information for the American public and themselves, the couple that I mentioned that had personal sightings.
Right.
And then some of them aren't really as gung-ho about getting information. It seems like they're more interested in sort of stonewalling the topic. And is that because it's coming from the CIA, a bug in their ear, like, you're the president, you need to just stop this at the gate. They talked about kind of a little bit what we talked about earlier with disclosure. It's just too messy. It's too much for any political entity to deal with because of our term limits with either 4 or 8 years. There would be panic. There would be another stock market crash. You would have to begin admitting the abductions, like your Betty and Barney. Like, the government would have to start admitting to those. So the government would have to admit, like, hey, yeah, that's real. Sorry for the last 50 years.
Very interesting.
Yes. So that went a little bit conspiracy theory. So sorry, not sorry. Because
It was still alien themed, though.
alien themed.
So,
I kind of
presidential
love.
conspiracies, yeah.
I just love that the ruler of our country has potentially seen aliens.
So do you want to get into our Wikipedia roulette?
Yes. Untitled Hills.
Okay.
I am not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Yountville. Yountville.
Yountville.
Yountville Hills are a mountain range in Napa County, California. On the northwest side of the town of Yountville.
I was thinking that was going to go Scandinavia, not California.
Right? I know. I don't know. I don't know how to read the pronunciation guide on Wikipedia. Yountville does not look like Yountville.
We'll leave that up to the listener to decide how to pronounce that.
Yeah. Y'all tell me how you pronounce.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
Alien Encounters and Yountville Mountain Range.
Yountville Hills.
Yountville Hills. I have been Kendall Runquist.
You've been?
God, I did it again.
Again?
I am Kendall Runquist.
I am still continuing to be Logan Renquist.
And
Wait, are you inhabited by an alien? You just unzip your body. Like
Men in
that
Black.
one.
That's another great one.
Men in Black. And what was
Why
that
did I not
other
say
one?
that one?
It was the parody of Science. It was one of the scary movies. The quote unquote scary movies. It was a parody of Science. It was like Scary Movie 3 or whatever.
Okay.
And the president meets up with an alien And the alien's like, whoa, if you think we look weird, like, look how we pee. And he starts peeing out of his index finger.
And this has been Tales of Plenty.
It has been.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.